Good evening, dear professor and peers. Thank you for taking your time and watching this video log about assessment literacy. To begin with, I would like to answer the first question. Are you assessment literate? I couldn't say I am so much as an assessment literate as I would like to. Maybe we all tend to cover that first part of identifying what students know and measure what they can do with that knowledge. But after having completed that first part, the most important part is knowing what to do with those results, and maybe that is the part we tend to fail a little bit on. Now that I told you I'm not as much as an assessment literate, I should tell you that ever since I began studying this course, my process have become more and more conscious. So nowadays I take into account students' motivations, their needs, their processes of course, and I always tend to focus assessments as a way of self-monitoring their processes and not as a way to establish how much they know, how much they don't know, because that could be not very motivating for them. Motivation is a key aspect to me, so I always tend to emphasize on the fact of self-evaluation, co-evaluation with their peers too, so that they can identify their strengths and taking advantage of them, as well as identifying their weaknesses and maybe establishing some steps they need to follow in order to improve those weaknesses. So to me, evaluation is not, or assessment better, is not as much as measuring, but it's better a monitoring process that is going to help me improve my students' learning and of course the success of the course. What are my most pressing concerns about assessment in my context? Well, the first concern is of course the students. Maybe we teachers haven't worked so much on developing autonomy so far on the students, so it is difficult to manage assessment for them as a self-monitoring process because maybe they are not as mature as to take it seriously enough and maybe to understand what are the repercussions that this is going to have over their learning process. The second concern, of course, is the institution, because we are supposed to be free in the way we teach our lessons and our courses, but in the end we have to adapt to certain rules that the institution is giving us. And sadly, for most of the institutions, assessment is about measuring the acquisition of concepts and even repetition of those concepts. And we cannot go as far as checking how much they really understand and how much and how well they really can apply these concepts in real life, which at the end is the aspect which makes the difference in applying the assessment after you have developed this degree in the student in which they can take it seriously, take it as a self-monitoring process, establishing the strategies they need to follow and actually following those strategies and self-monitoring themselves in order to check if they are working or not in their learning results. Okay, so what is my plan to improve assessment in my classes? For this last part, I'm going to allow myself to read the answer I have written before because I don't want to miss or forget including any of the important elements that I need to. My plan is to continue creating awareness about the real importance of assessment in terms of identifying strengths and weaknesses. I will give it a more formative than summative character as established by White in 2009 in order to make it a more integral part of the process and motivate students to learn. I will try to create a balance among the students, the institution, and my own expectations to give the assessments more validity and reliability, making them more practical, emphasizing on the impact they can have over the teaching and learning process, and the actual implementation of the measured knowledge in real-life situations. Thank you very much.